Yo, yo, yo. Yo, what up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. Y'all know how we get into this, man. So let's get this thing started right. All right, man. What up, everybody? What up, man? Now, here we go again, man. So today we're going to be talking about a topic that's been taking over social media lately, man. And that is none other than this Young Dolph Hernandez Govan trial, man. Now, for those of you who've been paying attention and keeping up with the latest updates, first off, I appreciate you. Second off, man, you know, it looks like we're coming to a close of this thing, man. I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but we going to get there eventually, right? But up until then, man, let's do a recap of what took place yesterday. So I got my handy dandy notes here, but I really don't need them because I think I've watched everything from yesterday like a million times. So I wanted to make sure that I can give y'all a good perspective of all the things I saw. And to be honest, man, the court yesterday started off kind of sad, man, because, you know, it kicked off with the autopsy and stuff like that. And all that stuff is horrible to hear and see. You know what I mean? You don't want to hear about somebody's last moments, last days, especially somebody idolized like Young Dolph, you know? And I hate to say idolized, but somebody who's actually famous and that you look up to. And I guess that is idolization, right? But somebody who's beloved, I should say, like Young Dolph, man. And to hear about his last moments and what happened to his body and all that, you know, I don't even want to touch on all that. But what I want to do is I want to do a brief recap of some of the news stories and the stuff that came out of the trial yesterday, right? So let's get into some of that.
Rapper Young Dolph's death is nearing its end. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joy Redmond. Tomorrow, the jury could decide the fate of Hernandez Govan. Today, the defense tried to tear apart the witness statement that brought Govan to trial. Action News 5's Amani Williams was in the courtroom all day. She joins us now with more on how the day ended.
Well, it was a packed day today. Closing arguments are over and the jury is gone for the day after deliberating for about an hour and a half. But before it all wrapped up, it was intense. Hernandez Govan's attorney made shocking arguments in his closing, saying the state should be embarrassed with the case against Govan. He says there is a lack of evidence. Govan is facing 2 charges, first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Prosecution and defense spent their closing arguments talking to the jury about those charges. The prosecution said Govan made a choice of violence. The defense says,
yeah, they were going back and forth. So basically, she's just breaking down the back and forth, well, the closing arguments between the prosecutor and the defense attorney. And to be honest, it got my head. When I was listening to the closing arguments, I was first trying to make sure that I got all the key points. But then second on top of that, I was like, you know, for this to be a pro bono lawyer or somebody who's, I don't know, is this a paid lawyer? Because I got the impression that Hernandez Govan's legal team were there for free. And they were from Atlanta and they were there representing him, right? But then I don't know, man. It feels like these are paid attorneys, man. These are people who are paid to do a job because this attorney really isn't doing a bad job of trying to drill in some of the inconsistencies in the story from Cornelius Smith and in the story and in putting Hernandez Govan in this case, man. So I got to give his lawyer credit, man. He seems like he's doing his job. Now, with that being said, I still think Hernandez Govan is probably kind of guilty, man. I don't know. It's weird because I just don't think they did a good job of not having any doubt there for the jurors. And we'll get to that.
Young Dolph.
The only crime that's being committed here today is in this courtroom. It's been committed for the last 3 days. This poor man will never get his life back because of what's happened. He's been threatened because they all think he's involved in the Young Dolph murder and everybody loves Dolph. Dolph has been threatened for years. He moved away from Memphis 5 years ago. That's what this...
Now, this crazy that they, out of the news report, they took the part out what he said next. But what he said next about Young Dolph was very revealing. When they did the autopsy on Dolph's body, I believe he said that Young Dolph had 3 previous gunshot wounds. And I think 2 or 3 bullets still lodged in his body from old shootings. I was like, dang, man, this is crazy.
Bruh.
And then when you heard the court case play out, you start to hear about the Paper Route Wu shooting. You hear about the attempt on Big Moochie Grape's life. You're like, man, they was really in an active war up there in Memphis. And you know, Memphis is one of those no nonsense, no play type of cities. So it kind of goes with the reputation. But when it's involving 2 major record labels, you don't expect none of this to be taking place, to be honest with you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
It's like, Doc, at what point do you move past the streets? But I think it's certain, and I know this is going to sound like I'm shooting them a whole bunch of bail and giving them excuses, but in certain environments, I don't think there's an ability to move from the streets completely, especially when your music is street orientated, even though they're very talented. Because let's look at CMG's artist roster. You got people like, yo, Gotti, Memphis legend, talent through the roof. Moneybag Yo, talent through the roof, right? Then you go over to PRE, you got Young Dolph, Key Glock. You got, man, everybody in that roster, man. You're just a bunch of amazing, talented artists, man. Jay Fizzle, man, he's one of my favorites. I ain't gonna lie. All those cats, man. Paper Route, Woo, man, all these cats, man. So it's like, to think that they were operating as a record label and still had to be so active in the streets is almost mind-boggling at this point, bruh.
Bruh.
But it seems to come with the life, man. But let's continue with this news story. But that was revealing, man, that Dolph has still had bullets in his body. And I know how morbid that sounds from previous shootings that had happened where he had got hit. You know what I mean? You know, you hear about 100 shots or hear 100 shots and you hear Bulletproof or whatever, the mixtape. And you're like, okay, they missed him that time. But he did get shot in L.A. several times, man. They were on his heels, man. So this was an active war in them streets.
Truth has been about. Embarrassed. Who should be embarrassed? Hernandez Govan. He is the person that made the choice.
I'm gonna keep it real. Like, she was the second attorney to go on the prosecutor side to give their closing statements. And her whole energy was like, they got my order wrong, going off in the restaurant type of energy. I'm sorry, man. She was going off, dog. And I don't mean that in any type of disrespect at all, man, because, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But that's how the kind of energy she was giving, man. She showed up going off. Like, they want you to think we stupid. You know what I'm saying? It was interesting to watch, man. You know, because some people, they have a hard time, you know, incorporating their passion and articulating themselves at the same time. But, you know, not black folks, man. She was on it.
To get engaged in this conspiracy. He made that choice. We've talked about choices.
The defense took Wednesday to poke holes in Cornelius Smith's testimony from earlier this week. He is the man who admits to being one of the 2 shooters that killed Dolph in 2021. They brought up a crime scene investigator who had a completely different statement about the cleaning of the murder car after the shooting. Well, we will be back in court Thursday morning at 9:15 a.m. waiting for a verdict. We'll make sure to give you the latest updates. Reporting in downtown Memphis, Imani Williams, Action News 5.
All right, man. So they're going to get into the actual charges that Hernandez Govan is being accused of and the possible outcome. So that's a whole nother clip that I want to bring up here. But in the meantime, man, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. For those of you who are in here, man, make sure you hit that like button. And Jose Munoz, I see you in the chat, bro. What's up? And to answer your question, why keep doing broke activities when you got paper? It bees like that sometimes, man. You know, and these guys, they straight from the streets. A lot of these cats are straight from the streets. Like, Key Glock had the opportunity, mentored him into the rap game the right way, right? He was able to take Key Glock and kind of put him off to the side, show him the ropes of the game, but incorporate him fully into his rap success, you know, all after the building stage of his career. So it was perfect for Key Glock. But a lot of those other guys, Jay Fizzle and, you know, say Paper Route Wu, what is it? Snoop Bands. I always get his name messed up. He's either Snoopy Bands or Snoop Bands. Like those cats, man, you could tell just how they talk or whatever, or the way that they conduct themselves in the interviews or anything, man. That they still straight from the streets. So it's a balance there because we as fans, we love that real authentic street music, man. And it's sad that a lot of this plays into that. And at some points, it is an illusion. A lot of it's made up or fabricated. But lately, in drill rap, real rap, and gangster rap, it's just been all the same. It's been real. And these are the ramifications of that. And I ain't here to school nobody or do nothing like that. But I'm just saying it's a tough balance.
Well, we will be back in court Thursday morning at 9:15 a.m. waiting for a verdict. We'll make sure to give you the latest updates. Reporting in downtown Memphis, Imani Williams, Action News 5.
All right, so
let's start off here before they get to talking. So this is the first degree murder charge that he's looking at, right? With a facilitation with conspiracy, solicitation with conspiracy, and accessory after the fact, right? So facilitation with conspiracy means that he helped facilitate this murder to be carried out.
Bruh.
Which is sad when you think about it. Then solicitation with conspiracy, meaning solicitation, meaning buying. He had to purchase something or do some sort of buying or some sort of business deal within the conspiracy to commit this murder for him to be guilty of that, right?
Bruh.
Stop it. Get some help.
Then we have accessory after the fact. Now, accessory after the fact is crazy because that might be their one catch-all in this count, right? Because there's like no proof to the point that he facilitated this as far as I've seen so far. Like, I mean, not any solid proof except for the phone calls that I don't know. We don't have the text for that because Hernandez Govan, he seemed like he was more careful at not sending out texts. You know what I mean? Maybe it's because he's old. He's like, yo, man, I ain't with all that texting. But it might have saved him in this situation. But also on top of that, the solicitation, they might could get him on that because it was openly said that he was the pill man. I think even his side said he was the pill man. So what's it for the jury not to believe that at some point he saw an opportunity to make money in illegal means when he's already making money in illegal means? You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
It kind of makes sense. But let this play.
Let's break down the counts for you. Count 1 is conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. It includes facilitation, solicitation, and accessory after the fact, each tied to the higher charge. Count 2 is more complicated. First-degree murder. Rolled into this count is second-degree murder and aggravated assault charges, as well as solicitation and facilitation.
All right, so let's look at this. So first-degree murder, count 2. Facilitation with murder, solicitation with murder, second-degree murder, facilitation with second-degree murder, solicitation with second-degree murder, aggravated assault, facilitation with aggravated assault, solicitation with aggravated assault, accessory after the fact, and assault. Now, how are they going to prove the assault charge when he wasn't the one? I mean, I guess they're combining that. They're combining those charges into the first-degree murder charge because they're saying through facilitation he openly helped commit this assault on this person's life. But I don't know, man. A lot of this is sounding like a stretch, bruh. I'm going to keep it real, man. And I wouldn't be here if I couldn't keep it funky with y'all, man. Y'all tell me. I really want to hear from somebody in the chat about this. But, yeah, I don't know, man. This case is starting to sound weak.
Bruh.
I don't know. Maybe he does. I mean, it is Memphis, so I don't know Memphis court system, and I don't understand. I don't know their this judge, or excuse me, I don't know the juries how they commonly do things in Memphis, but there's certain states, and when I had my live with the Super Friends yesterday, certain states he probably would have got off for a lot of this. He probably would have got off in this case just based on what they were using because their star witness is Cornelius Smith, right? Cornelius Smith is the guy who's blowing the lid off of this whole thing. But he's already been found guilty in the murder aspect as the guy who was carrying the AK-47, the person who shot and took Young Dolph's life. So, yeah, it behooves him to say all this, man. It only helps his situation. So, I don't know, man. That's kind of weak. I don't see anything ironclad. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong, man, because this is just how I'm reading this when I see everything coming together in this case. I think that the prosecutors did a great job of arguing everything that they had, and I think that one of the cops, man, he did a bad job of putting Hernandez Govan into this, man. I just didn't. I couldn't read the connections besides the what was this, the 17 calls or whatever the day. But if you're calling me, I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see.
For each one. On top of all of that, the judge included accessory after the fact and assault charges. Now let's take you back to the beginning of our coverage on this case. Young Dolph was shot outside Makita's Cookies on November 17, 2021. The next month, police arrested Cornelius Smith. Justin Johnson was arrested at the start of 2022. And a week before the first anniversary of Dolph's death, Govan was arrested.
All right, so you see in order, Young Dolph loses his life. Only maybe 2.5, 3 weeks later, Cornelius Smith is arrested. I'm pretty sure he thought in his mind right then he was going to start snitching. Not funny, but dude didn't take long to start snitching in this case. I'm going to keep it real. Then Justin Johnson was arrested. Remember, he went on the run. He didn't even want to turn himself in. Remember, Justin Johnson was on social media trolling? I remember it because Straight Dropp, a.k.a. Justin Johnson, was on social media trolling. He said, yeah, I'm going to turn myself in, popular, 201 or whatever it's called, right? And he never showed up because he knew that, him putting his address out there and everybody was looking, that had just been a bad situation. So then Hernandez Govan gets arrested later on that same year, and then he's been out doing interviews and stuff since then, even though he's been on trial, man, which is weird. Like literally, man, if those of you who haven't been keeping track of this trial, you won't know what I'm talking about, so let me break it down for you. But those who have know some of the crazy stuff. So Hernandez Govan went on a press run while he still had this open case. The Dolph murder case was still open. Like Justin Johnson, Straight Dropp, and Cornelius Smith were still in jail. And he was going on a press run. He was doing interviews. He went on an interview with a couple of guys there locally from Memphis to the point where the judge was like, hey, man, stop doing interviews. You ain't allowed to do that no more. Stop it. You know what I mean? Now, he was careful about the things that he said in the interviews, and he's slicker than most people realize, And I think, man, him being the pill guy, put him in this situation to begin with. But I think, man, that's their whole basis for I think that's where he drew a lot of his connections too, because I'd like to tie this to his attorney and his legal team. Like, where do they come into play? Like, who got them? Like, who's paying for them? And if they are there pro bono, they're all the way from Atlanta. Do Atlanta lawyers just say, forget it, we're going to Memphis to do some pro bono work? I mean, maybe that's a common thing. I don't know.
Bruh.
But regardless, I don't want to get to where, y'all get what I'm saying, man. But let's keep it real, man. Hernandez Govan has been an interesting cat in this case, and depending on how this ends up, I don't think it'll be the end of us hearing about him. All while all this is taking place, right? Remember, he also lost his daughter. So Lotta Cash Desto, his daughter, she lost her life as well, man. So she was a rapper who ended up losing her life in Houston, which was crazy as well. Then Justin Johnson and them were found guilty last year, in September, and now here we are today, right?
Over the next 2 months, Jermaine Johnson turned himself in and took a plea deal. Just last fall, Johnson was found guilty.
Now, Jermaine Johnson is different. Jermaine Johnson is Straight Dropp's brother. So he was actually, I think he was accused of being an accessory, I believe.
Govan's trial started Monday. Smith, the man who admitted to shooting Young Dolph, took the stand, as did a security guard. On day 2, Smith's girlfriend and a retired MPD investigator testified. Today, a forensic pathologist and another investigator both testified. Then both sides gave closing arguments. The jury will resume deliberation tomorrow. And Action News 5 will be inside the courtroom.
All right, enough of that. So you saw the breakdown there of who all testified, right? Now, the star witnesses in this case are obviously Cornelius Smith and his ex-girl. But I'm going to keep it a buck on this too. I don't believe a word that Cornelius Smith was saying, man. Because during all that time, he even admitted he was down bad on drugs. Like, down bad. Like, coming and scraping to the pill man for drugs. Like, the pill man? You know what I'm saying? Not funny, you know, because addiction is not a funny thing. But come on, bruh. It's hard for me to take his word. And I'm mad that Govan's lawyer didn't stress that point enough. Like, yo, I'm serving him. Like, he's the guy, I'm serving him pills. He's coming through, he's getting served. Like, I know he's an addict. Why in the world would I choose an addict for this elaborate plan? Like, for this elaborate scheme? It's the dumbest thing in the world, man. I know for a fact he's addicted to the drugs I sell him. So I'm going to risk my whole life on a murder plot with a guy I know who's not reliable, who's an addict, man? Come on.
Bruh.
Get out of here, bro. Get out of here. You know what I mean? I wish he would have said something about that. Somebody said, still convinced that Govan's daughter was get back. Oh, what?
Bruh.
She was a subpar rap, and I am not dissing the dead with this. You know what I'm saying? I am not talking ill about the deceased about this. But to be honest, man, she wasn't like a superstar rapper like that. You know what I'm saying? And for her to lose her life in the way she did in Houston, and we know how Houston, Memphis got a lot of politics that connect and stuff like that, I think she lost her life as well. I believe. I don't know for a fact. I believe she lost her life in this whole CMG PRE beef. I think she was a casualty of that war, man. Somebody was like, okay, he a part of it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I just think that's what happened. You know what I mean? Would I be able to prove that? No. Will we ever be able to prove that? I don't even think has anybody been arrested in Lotta Cash Desto's case? Let's see, man. Why are we here? You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure. Case. Hernandez Govan and nope, slang rapper. No. Still to this point, still to this day, I don't think anybody's been accused or arrested in this case, because it took place in Houston, right? Hold up, second murder stuff. Hold up, let me be correct. So it looks like there was a murder suspect who was arrested in this case, right? Alexandria successfully. Somebody, a 19-year-old by the name of Jeremiah Smith, was identified as a suspect. I don't know, man. I'm going to look deeper into that case so I make sure I ain't tripping, man. But there's a guy who was arrested, and then there was another suspect who was arrested too, a guy by the name of Christian Isaiah Williams. He was arrested at the time of the shooting, the other suspect at the time of the shooting. Rampant, I don't know where this case went, but I'm on it now. You know what I'm saying? I'll give y'all that much. Like, it looks like for his daughter, Lotta Cash Desto, they did arrest 2 suspects in the case. So let me bookmark that. We're going to get back to that some other time. But all right, so let's continue with our recap of what took place yesterday, which was, I'm going to be honest, man, it was one of the more laid back days as far as the trial, as far as a lot of the murder beef stuff, except for, you know, the autopsy and stuff like that, all that morbid, you know, nobody wants to hear most of that stuff, you know. And when they talked, the things that they got to was they talked to the neighbor, and then they also talked to Govan, and he didn't have much to say because he pleaded the fifth. But let's get some more breakdown, man, from the news.
Well, we can expect the jury to begin deliberating once again around 9:15 this morning. And then after that, we'll just be waiting for a verdict to come in. Now,
so this is from this morning, man. This is actually a report from this morning.
I'll take you back to yesterday, let you know how we got to this point. Yesterday, things were handed over from the prosecution to the defense so that they could make their arguments for their client. Attorney Manny Aurora first moved for a dismissal, claiming there hasn't been enough evidence of a conspiracy between Justin Johnson, the convicted killer, and Govan.
I'm gonna keep it real, man. Y'all, man, I need comment. Let me see. Dumbest thing you could do is go to court in Nike streetwear defending yourself against murder. Somebody got jokes. Man, yeah, wearing a Nike tracksuit to court is dirty work, man. It's nasty work, bro. It's nasty work. Stop it. You know what I mean? Yeah, for real. Looking like a you. Let me stop. But his lawyer tried to get the case dismissed. Obviously, they always do that right before, the closing statements or closing arguments, citing that they didn't have enough information enough connection between him, Cornelius Smith, and Justin Johnson, which, to be honest, is kind of true, man. If you follow this trial, you'll see that a lot of Justin Johnson's communications seemed like it was with Big Jook for a while. He was even FaceTiming Big Jook. Now, they couldn't pull the FaceTime, obviously, because, they can't pull FaceTimes, unless they're monitoring your phone precisely at that moment to pull the FaceTime and record it or whatever, right? But they couldn't pull the FaceTime. But why was he FaceTiming Big Jook? It seemed like CEO Teasy, who was the CEO of Trula Mafia or whatever, he was more of a middleman than Hernandez Govan by a long shot.
The man who's on trial. That request was denied by a judge. Aurora then argued his client is the fall guy, stating there was testimony there was no contact between Johnson and Govan for 2 weeks prior to the murder. Aurora says
Now, that's a good point to make. Like, I didn't even talk to him 2 weeks before this even happened. But, you could have just did that. You could have said, hey, man, this is about to go down. We know the turkey drive is coming up in 2 weeks. Don't talk to me. Nobody call me for 2 weeks. Nobody say anything in 2 weeks unless it's face-to-face and I don't see. That could be a part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, at this point, when the prosecutor said, you think we stupid, yeah, that could happen. You could tell them to stop talking to you. So that doesn't immediately prove that you're innocent.
And admitted gunman Cornelius Smith also testified there was no plan. Aurora also spent time poking holes in Smith's story. The prosecution, on the other hand, argued Govan was the middleman between Jook and the shooters. Smith also claimed Govan told him about the hits put out by Jook and gave him information that Young Dolph would be in Memphis for the annual turkey giveaway. Prosecutors also revealed cell phone calls and texts between all of those allegedly involved.
Now, to be honest, still sounds weak. Let's go.
If you believe Cornelius, he says Jook is the one that set it all up. His girlfriend says that. Then they backtrack and say, well, he was there and he set it up.
This case is not about the prosecutor. This case is not about Jook. This case is not about Justin. This case is not about Cornelius. This case is about Hernandez Govan. He is the person on trial.
All right, a verdict could be reached once they get back in there, or it could take several hours, maybe even days. We'll just have to wait and see. But of course, Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre, he will be inside that courtroom and he'll have an update once a verdict is reached.
Yeah, and keep in mind, thanks, Dominic, keep in mind, we're going to carry it live right.
Yeah, so everybody's standing by at this point waiting for a verdict, right? But let's look at what the neighbor said as well, man. So the neighbor was probably one of the only, witnesses brought by the defense attorneys, just basically to speak on the character of Cornelius Smith. And she kind of drew some holes in some of the things he said, but, most of her testimony was kind of trying to paint him as a good kid.
Good morning, Ms. Ferguson. Would you tell the jury your name and could you spell it for me?
My name is Vivian Banks Ferguson.
And could you spell that just because the court reporter needs to get it right?
They got this old lady up out the bed for all this, man. It's crazy.
Which one?
Your first name, middle name, and last name.
Vivian, capital V-I-V-I-A-N. B as in boy, A-N-K-S, Banks. Ferguson, capital F-E-R-G-U-S-O-N.
And Ms. Ferguson, how old are you?
80.
Okay. We're never supposed to ask that question, so I apologize. Do you live next to Cornelius Smith Sr.?
I live next to King Smith, his daddy.
Okay.
So she had to make a correction. So she let him know that she's 80 years old and she lives right next door to his dad, King Smith. So I guess his name is King Smith. He thought it was another name, but let's continue, man. And she's 80 years old, man. That's wild, man.
King Smith lives next door to you, right? And you have to say yes or no. I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right. And Cornelius Smith, that's somebody you know, right?
Yes.
Could you tell the jurors how you know Mr. Cornelius Smith?
He's a young man had to came in contact with him, he always would do nice things for me. Like when I go shopping, he always would get my grocery out the car and bring it in the house for me. That was good for me because I was tired.
Now, this goes to show that just because you in the streets, and even that you strung out on that dope or whatever he was on, man, them pills or whatever, doesn't mean you can't just do genuine acts of kindness. Excuse me. Genuine acts of kindness to people, you know what I mean? And she's basically coming on as a character witness saying he's a good guy, but, you know, this is going to fall on deaf ears because he's already been found guilty for killing somebody with an AK-47. Come on, man.
Bruh.
Yeah, you can be, most mob guys, you ask people around in their neighborhood, they think they're nice people, man. They say, hey, yeah, he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. You know what I mean? But, yo, they be killing people and, you know, throwing them in rivers, all sorts of crazy stuff, bro. That just, you can be two things at once.
So that's not only that, that's the only time that he come around. If I needed something done, I could ask him, and he would do it. And if he charged me, I would pay him. But he never charged me for anything. To me, he was a nice kid.
So, Miss Ferguson, you and I talked at your house last week, just a few days ago, right? You'll have to say yes or no.
Yes.
All right. And I also asked you if Cornelius Smith said a few years ago that somebody came by your house to give you $500 for him. Would that be true or false?
That would not be true.
All right. So if Mr. Cornelius Smith said under oath that, like, you're like a grandmother to him, right?
So basically, she's refuting the claim that he was given $500 on the bounty, you know, as a part of the bounty. So saying that, yo, his claim is that they dropped it off at his neighbor's house, this 80-year-old lady, right? And she's here in the courtroom saying, nah, he lying about that, bro. That'd be cold. I ain't, man. I said, well, what if she lied? What if she took that 500 and this is her way of getting him up out of here?
Bruh.
Yo, let me stop, man. Let me just go.
If that's what you want to say?
Okay, I'm just repeating what I've heard in court. So if he said that you got $500 for him to hold, never happened.
Never happened.
Not yesterday, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago.
No, if somebody was going to leave something for Cornelius at my house, they probably stuck it in my mailbox or something like that. But I haven't received any cash or any envelope for him.
So if somebody said you were specifically given $500, would be a lie?
Would be a lie.
All right. And I'm really sorry to call you. I know the last time you came to court was talking about...
All right, so they're basically trying to ruin Cornelius Smith's credibility with the story that he told during the first day of questioning, right? But that would be funny if she pocketed that $500. She was like, well, he ain't going to need it. You know what I'm saying? I swear, man. Let's go.
Your son's murder, so I 100% apologize. I know you were very upset outside. So thank you for your honesty.
Great.
No cross, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, so the prosecutors didn't want to cross-examine her because, you know, it's an 80-year-old lady, man. She ain't even really got no reason to lie unless she wanted to keep the $500 for herself, which I doubt. You know, people at that age, they just reel in their truth usually, you know what I mean? So basically she drew holes in his credibility. So that way, you know, they could draw that doubt in front of the jurors, man. So it wasn't a bad play because she really made him look like a liar. And there were some things that Cornelius Smith was saying, and I just got I got the feeling like he was lying. I don't know for a fact, but it just felt like that to me. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
Because, you know, you can't recall everything if you, well, I don't know. I ain't never been, you know, have a heavy addict or have any type of heavy drug, like being under that trance. I just wouldn't think you'd be able to recall all that, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe you can. You know what I mean? And then in Govan's defense, and I hate to be doing this because I'm not trying to defend Hernandez Govan. Don't think that's what's going on. I would just be saying, well, I'm the pill man. I'm the dude who sells him the dope. Why in the world am I going to be risk everything for the dude I'm serving. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Unless you're stupid. A highlight from court yesterday.
Clarify the number of it. Mr. Aurora, would you like to ask your client some questions?
Mr. Govan, would you please spell your first and last name for the record?
HERNANDEZGOVAN.
And Mr. Govan, you and I have talked about your right to testify at trial, correct?
Yes, sir.
I've advised you that I would recommend not testifying based on some of the evidentiary rulings. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you.
So basically, his lawyer is leading him into their decision for him to plead the fifth. So he's saying, I've advised you not to testify, right? And he's like, yes. So he's just basically going down there, all that.
Agree to me that you do not wish to testify.
Yes, sir.
And that's freely and voluntarily. Nobody's forcing you to do that.
Nobody's forcing me.
Govan said, I plead the fifth.
Nobody's threatening you to do that.
No, sir.
All right. And this is something you are doing freely and voluntarily again.
Correct.
All right. I'm going to stamp this 33 on it and give you the situation.
Can I have the
I was just going to get the sticker on it.
Now, to be completely honest, that was the highlight of his testimony right there. That's what went viral. That's what everybody was talking about. Because, you know, most people expected him to plead the fifth. Most people don't get up there and testify on their own behalf because it gives the prosecutors so many opportunities to drill a hole in your story. You might forget one part. They got to coax up. They got to do so much coaching on a witness and somebody who testifies on their own behalf. It's just not worth it most of the time. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
You playing a dangerous game with that. Anytime you do that, you playing a dangerous game. That's why it was so epic when OJ did it. And you know, I'm not giving no props to OJ. I ain't doing that. When he put on those gloves and stuff like that. Like that was a risk, a huge risk. You know what I'm saying? That they were taking right there, man. That was a lot. And by testifying, you taking a huge risk. So Smart, based on the advice of his counsel, he said, I plead the fifth, bruh.
Bruh.
You know what I mean? Now, all right, let's get to what else transpired after that, which was the closing arguments. And I got just parts of it here that I want to look at with y'all, if y'all don't mind.
The legacy that Thornton built.
All right, so this is the prosecutor's closing argument, or the state's closing argument in this case, right? And this is the lead attorney in the case, and she kind of she makes some really good points. I'll say that before we cut it off. But because, you know, these closing arguments are usually 35, 45 minutes long or something like that. So, you know, you and then they have a chance to go back. But I think these are the points that have the biggest takeaways. But hey, y'all do me a favor, man. All of y'all in here right now, make sure you hit that like button. Everybody who already has, we all crew. Y'all already know we good, man. So let's continue this.
And then you heard from Cornelius Smith. And that's where it got interesting. He told you that he met Govan in 2021 through a friend named Bobby Carter. The relationship started out as transactional. Cornelius Smith had a pill problem. Govan provided the pills. But then one day, Govan asks him if he wants to make some money. Smith told you that, of course, he has a drug problem. He has 5 kids. He needed money. So, of course, he wants to make.
Now, that's crazy, man. So Cornelius Smith, on top of having a drug problem, being in the streets, not really being employed, got 5 kids?
Bruh.
Talk about compounding the issue, dog. But let's go. And I'm not judging, dude, because, you know, having a lot of kids sometimes is a blessing because, you know, your kids might grow up to be something amazing. But him facing all this time, it just puts him in a bad position.
Money. And he tells you about several discussions between Govan, himself, Justin Johnson, and Jook. He tells you that at one of those meetings, Govan told him that there were multiple bounties on PRE artists, including Mr. Thornton. He told you that on one night, he was given guns by Govan.
Now that's the biggest claim that really hurts Hernandez Govan. If they were able to make the jury believe that that's true, or that they could believe what Cornelius Smith is saying, because he's the only one who's saying it. He didn't have any real concrete proof. Like here's a picture of us with the guns. Here's some text messages where he said, "Hey man, I got the guns," or nothing like that. Either Hernandez Govan is a smoother criminal than we think, or some of this is made up, bruh. You know what I'm saying? It's one or the other in this situation. But let's continue.
He was given guns by Govan to attempt a hit on Paper Route Wood. He told you that out of the multiple bounties on PRE artists, Thornton's was the highest. Thornton's was $100,000. So of course he jumped on the opportunity. And Smith told on himself. He told you everything. He told you chapter and verse, who was in the room and what was said. And if you're thinking about a conspiracy, who would you want to hear from the most? A co-conspirator. Someone that is in the room, someone who can tell you what happened, what was agreed to, what went on. So after he found out about what this bounty was, he talked about November. He talked about how him and Justin knew about a turkey drive that PRE hosts every November.
It's got to be. I wonder if rappers still do their turkey drives in Memphis. Y'all tell me in the comments if you're in Memphis and they still doing turkey drives. Because all these shootings at turkey drives, that would be the last thing I'm ever going to do. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I got a name or something like that, or even if I didn't have a name. The way that they shooting out there.
He told you that there were a few days where they went hunting. They knew that there was going to be multiple days where the turkey drives were happening. On the 16th, him and Justin Johnson went out hunting. Wasn't successful. On the 17th, he told you that Justin picked him up from his father's house. He told you that when he picked him up from his father's house, Smith and Johnson went hunting again. And when they were at the intersection of Lamar...
I can't understand that part. That always gets me. Like how your pop's in your life and you out here actively hunting people trying to get them out of here. You know what I'm saying? Just, it don't make sense. But I mean, I don't know their relationship. Maybe it was crazy, but like, dog, nobody just sat you down and said, hey, dog, you got 5 kids. $100K ain't gonna do nothing in the long run anyway. Bruh, you need a J-O-B, like Pop said. Job.
In Airways, they saw Dolph's car drive past. Earlier this week, I told you that most Memphians know Adolph Thornton's car when they see it. And Cornelius Smith told you the same thing. They knew who it was when he drove past. So they followed the car. They followed the car all the way to Makita's, and at Makita's, they pulled around, parked the white Mercedes that they were in, got out, gunned down Adolph Thornton, and killed him. They got back in the white Mercedes, and they left, but not before Marcus Thornton shot Cornelius Smith.
Now, Marcus Thornton is the brother of Young Dolph, which we talked about this in a previous live, where that's got to haunt him every day, man. Like, he was seconds away from saving his brother's life. You know, if they would have just did some sort of different planning, he was so comfortable at Makita's Cookies that day. They had a weapon on them, but it wasn't a big weapon. And these guys had 2 weapons, and they just happened to run right up to the window and start shooting immediately. And, you know, Young Dolph, those cars that he had with the camouflage on them, you could spot him a mile away, man. You would know it was Young Dolph if you was driving down the street and you was in traffic for miles. You would see that was Young Dolph because it was his signature car. So that probably changed that part of the car market there in Memphis too, man. No more wraps, no more camouflage, nothing, man, because you don't want anything anybody could just see and know it's you anymore. You just which is tough, especially if you got really, really nice cars like Dolph did. But it's
Smith also told you that they ditched the car. He told you that they ditched the car on Bradley Street, across the street from the defendant's home. He told you that once they left the car there, they went to Two-Lane Apartments. At Two-Lane Apartments, that's where they switched clothes, that's where they had their wound kits, and that's where Cornelius realized that he left his phone. He left his phone and he needed a ride. So he used his co-conspirator's phone, Justin Johnson, to contact his girlfriend to pick him up. And you heard that from Angela Arnold too. She told you that she got some communication from a phone number that she did not recognize. A phone number that was not her boyfriend's. It was not Cornelius's. He told her to pick her up, and she did.
Now, the crazy part about this point is, all right, he reached out to his girl. She got an anonymous message to pick him up. She immediately goes to pick him up. But where does that prove that Hernandez Govan was the person who made that text? I mean, was it a throwaway phone or something like that?
When she picked him up, he got inside the car. He told her that he had been hit. He told her what happened. And he told her that they killed Dolph. You also heard from Angela that he had previously told her that there was a hit on PRE artists, but she didn't believe him. But he told her. And he told her that there was a bounty. And when she picked him up that day, she learned that they had killed Dolph.
Now, after you tell me all that, I might change my number on you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be anywhere near any of this. So it's crazy that, man, so he told his girlfriend all that, the whole rundown of everything that happened. He was really moving sloppy out here in these streets, right?
They both testified that after they left the Two-Lane Apartments, they went to a gas station for Cornelius to buy some cigarettes. And after they left that gas station, they met up with Govan. They met up at the Pressure World. And at the Pressure World, Cornelius said that he got his phone back and he got out the car. Well, first he got out the car. Then he went and talked to Govan, who was already outside the car. And he got his phone back and got back inside of Angela Arnold's car. Angela Arnold also testified that the same thing happened. She's never been to Pressure World before. She's driven past. But on this particular day, she pulled in, Cornelius got outside the car, Govan was waiting for him, and they went to the back and they talked. She didn't hear anything.
Now, I know that they had the photo of Pressure World, but I never saw a video in the case where they showed Govan at the Pressure World speaking to Cornelius Smith. Because if they had that, that would be the nail in the coffin. You know what I mean?
Bruh.
But I don't know. A lot of this is still a lot of, man, hearsay and stuff. Y'all tell me in the comments y'all think I'm misjudging this, but I don't see anything concrete, man. So don't be surprised if something crazy happens.
But she saw the defendant there. And she knew that Cornelius had to get his phone. But then, Angela tells us, and she confirms what Cornelius already told you, that they had to get a car cover. She didn't know who the order came from, but she knew that they had to get a car cover.
Now, the car cover thing became a big point in this trial, where talked about the fact that they were instructed to get this car cover to put on the car, and they had to go to AutoZone to get it. So he took a picture of the receipt at AutoZone and put it on his phone, which is the dumbest thing I ever heard in the world, right?
Bruh.
If that's a part of the criminal conspiracy, why would you have evidence of that? Like, why would you take a picture of that? And it seemed like him sending that picture out was a message, man. So that might be the one thing. Like, why in the world is he taking a picture of an AutoZone receipt? You know what I mean? But that was actually in Cornelius Smith's phone. So I don't know if he sent that to Govan, but that was a big point that they kept bringing up. But they're still missing me with the connection on this, man. But let's go to the next part, man. And I know these are long.
And shortly after these text messages were sent, Angela Arnold and Cornelius Smith met Govan at the Pressure World. They told you that they went to AutoZone for a car cover. Well, the phone extractions say the same thing. There was a receipt from around that time from AutoZone, or at least it looked like it was from AutoZone. Further,
now, I ain't gonna lie, that looks very suspicious. You taking a picture of your receipt from AutoZone. You know, people take pictures of their receipts from restaurants all the time. They even, the iPhone, they'll automatically put it in a folder for receipts. You know what I mean? Just so, people go out, they have too much to drink or whatever they do. That way they can keep track of their spending and stuff like that. But AutoZone is wild. That's a wild one, man. Like, was you gonna write this off on your taxes, bruh? Let me stop. Let's go.
Cornelius told you that he wanted his money. He needed his money. And that communication with Jook wasn't really a thing. He would use Govan as the go-between person to contact Jook. But he still needed his money. So he found a way to message Jook, and he told Jook, "What's up, big bruh? I'm trying to get with you. I'm Govan's little homie you met before. I've been trying to let you hear my music if you don't mind giving me a call."
Once again, that's direct communication to Big Jook. That is not communication or a text to Govan. So, all right, man, let's go.
Govan's homie. Govan's chosen person for the job. Ladies and gentlemen, we went from this person, this life, to this.
I can't stand like autopsy pictures and stuff like that. I'm glad they covered that up, but I can't stand I hate when something happens in Chicago drill and stuff, and somebody like those pictures come, and the people will be like trying to like taunt their ops. Like, I don't know, man. It's a bit disturbing, Like going to court every day, seeing stuff like that would be crazy.
You heard from Dr. Scantleberry. 20 gunshot entrance wounds to Adolph Horton's body. We went slide by slide, picture by picture, documenting the injuries that Adolph Thornton received on the day of the homicide. She told you about the manner of death, the cause of death. She went through his injuries, the remote bullets. She told you about the wound on his face.
Yeah, but Cornelius Smith is the one who did all that, and he's the star witness. So what are we getting at, man? All right.
We went from this to this.
Y'all tell me in the comments how y'all seeing this so far, man. With the closing statement, this part of the closing statement. And don't worry, I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to play a little bit of the defense attorney's closing statement, but you can kind of put two and two together with what their whole approach to this is going to be.
Defense will try to tell you that the police officers didn't do a good job, that the investigation wasn't complete, but yet they put on an officer as their witness. It seems as if the investigation, if it doesn't cater to her, it seems as if the investigation isn't complete when it doesn't benefit the defense. You heard from Sergeant Browning that this was a two-part investigation, and that he came and he started to get involved.
I think the dude started together everything as far as who's connected in the text messages. I don't know if his caseload is overworked, but that slideshow presentation that he presented was not good, man. And not even funny.
Bruh.
Like, he didn't do a good job of connecting the dots, I don't think. He did reveal some secrets and some things we didn't know about the things that had been taking place in the streets. Previous shootings, a lot of that stuff, and how active these cats still are. But outside of that, I don't think he did a good job, man.
When Angela Arnold talked to officers about...
And I'm not critiquing him. I'm pretty sure his caseload is crazy. He did a great job for the information that he has, because it's half of the people that were brought up as people who were associated with so-and-so had already lost their life. So it's hard to put the things together. So I got to shoot him some bail. My bad.
Hernandez Govan's involvement. Her interview was December 17, 2021, a month after the murder. It was a month in before they even realized that Hernandez Govan was involved. You also heard that Justin had access to Judd, and that Justin was communicating with other people when he was doing his own thing. But that doesn't take away from this conspiracy. That doesn't mean that this didn't happen. That doesn't mean that Govan is not involved. Govan already had Juck's contact information. He already had Justin.
Yeah, but okay, so why isn't there more proof of Govan reaching out to Juck as opposed to Justin Johnson reaching out to Juck and other people trying to reach out to Juck, like Cornelius Smith or whatnot?
Johnson's contact information. He already had Cornelius Smith's contact information. And if you look at the text messages that the defense entered into evidence, you see that there is communication with people that Hernandez Govan also communicates with, like Joshua.
That's very loose, man, because you're basically saying that, yo, he also communicates with these people that Juck communicates with, so that puts him in this. I don't know, man. Y'all tell me if I'm being too biased. I'm not even being biased, because I am in no way rooting for Hernandez Govan in this situation. But does all this seem weak?
Joshua Taylor. Defense will also tell you that the investigation wasn't complete because there were other people involved that weren't charged. Well, we heard from Sergeant Browning that this investigation is ongoing. By definition, a conspiracy is an ongoing crime that is continuous in nature. And sometimes you just don't have all you need to charge people. Sometimes people die. You can't indict people that aren't.
That's true. Now, what she's talking about here, she's talking about the fact that CEO Teasy played a huge role in this, and they all came out in the court case. Like CEO Teasy, he lost his life not too long after all this transpired with Young Dolph and everything, man, when all the real craziness was going on or whatever, right? We come to find out that he was like orchestrating a lot of the things that they're accusing Hernandez Govan. Now, I'm not saying that Hernandez Govan didn't have a part in it, but CEO Teasy, according to everything that came out in trial, had a way huger role and was way more in the middle of a lot of the things that took place in the streets, you know? So that was wild to see. And he lost his life. I'm not saying that anything happened to him because of this, but if it did, it wouldn't surprise me, you know what I mean? Because he was that deep into this.
And if all that isn't enough, you heard from someone that was in the room when it happened. You heard Cornelius Smith. You saw the videos. You heard the testimony of Angela Arnold and Sergeant Browning. that support what he's telling you. Defense introduced a video of Cornelius Smith on December 9th, 2021, the day that he got arrested. He told you himself he was a pillhead. He was high. And you saw that in the video. Even Angela Arnold told you that the day that he got arrested, when she was with him, he had taken some pain medication. And ladies and gentlemen, remember the call records. These communications don't lie. They coincided with dates of importance. The week of the turkey drive, August 13th, the shooting on Paper Route.
I don't know. I'm still not seeing the connection here, man. Like, it seems like they're just assuming because he knew these people, he was the pill man, that he was involved, man. It's just, I don't see nothing concrete, like where I'm like, dang, Govan, you stupid. You got caught dead to rights. I don't see that aha moment yet.
They don't lie, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into the law one more time. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant...
Okay, so here she's about to break down exactly what they have to prove without a reasonable doubt that he did in order to be found guilty for these charges. Now, take a close, careful listen.
Entered into an agreement. What is the agreement? What is the agreement? The agreement is if you kill Dolph, you get $100,000. You need one or more people to be a participant in that agreement. You heard from one of them, Cornelius Smith. We know there's Justin Johnson, and there's Hernandez Govan. There is an agreement. And what also do you need? You need an overt act. Earlier I told you that an overt act in the murder case is often the murder. Well, you saw videos of that. You heard the defendant, you heard the shooter, Cornelius Smith, testify that he killed Adolph Thornton Jr.
This is, okay, man. This is all based off of Cornelius Smith's testimony. Everything points to him. We're supposed to take his word as the golden standard. I don't know how the jury's going to see this, but he's got a lot to gain from the state if by testifying. So he might be willing to just say anything. You already know he's a pillhead, and I hate to label him like that, but that was what he called himself. You know what I mean?
For first-degree murder, it has to be a premeditated killing of another. When we talk about premeditation, we know that there's no timeline on premeditation. It could be months, it could be weeks, it could be days, it could be a few minutes. All you have to do is have time to reflect. All you have to do is have time to think about what you're doing. Well, they had plenty of time.
That's where there might be some room to argue, because all those text messages that went out in July where they were talking about Dolph's location, him booking studio time, all that stuff is more, that's proof that, there was some sort of premeditation here. And the text messages, but those text messages were from CEO Teasy. Like, all that was Teasy, man. He was the one who was like, Dolph and them booked the studio. They got the studio booked for like the rest of the year. Oh, they're going to be at the turkey drive. You know what I mean? We got to pull up on them there. Hernandez Govan was not texting like that, man. He just wasn't.
Cornelius said that they talked about this well before this murder. And we saw that the hit on Paper Route Woo was on August 13th. There was plenty of time to think and reflect about this murder. And as you saw from the video, it happened. For criminal responsibility,
Now, I heard that Paper Route Woo was busting back too. They tried to take out Paper Route Woo in August, she said, but I thought it was July. Actually, it might have been late July, like 29th or something like that. But don't hold me to that. But, you know, it was after they had started talking and texting about getting somebody from PRE immediately. Like, they had to get them. Like, they was super thirsty for getting somebody from PRE up out of here, right? And Paper Route Wu, they ended up, he was cruising in his BMW. He parked at an auto body shop. And when he rolled in there, 3 gunmen jumped out and started dumping. But, you know, a lot of people said he was busting back. That's what got them off of him. You know what I mean? But he also went into the car, the auto body shop, and called 911 as well. So that probably got the cops there fast because there was proof of gunshots.
What you have to do is you have to have an act with the intent to promote or assist the commission of the offense or to benefit in the proceeds or the results of the offense. Smith told you Govan wanted his cut. He wanted $10,000.
Once again, we're just relying on what Cornelius Smith said, man. He's what do they say in New Jack City? He's becoming Mr. Untouchable. Because I don't see where in this we got to take Cornelius Smith's word on everything. And the old lady who lived next door to him already came up there and said he'd be lying. Not funny, but funny.
$1 from Justin Johnson's cut and from Cornelius Smith's cut. That sounds like proceeds. Further, you don't have to be there when the trigger is pulled. You saw the video, you know that Hernandez Govan wasn't there, but that doesn't mean that he is not responsible for ending this life. Ladies and gentlemen, the state's burden is reasonable doubt. You heard in the jury instructions that reasonable doubt means moral certainty. You have to be certain for every element of the offense. That's my job. Certainty means that you can sleep easy at night knowing the decision that you made. It's not beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's not 100% certainty. It's not beyond all doubt. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the standard. Once you've looked and reviewed all of the evidence, all of the photos, all of the videos and testimony that you've heard this week, it is the state's position that we have fulfilled our burden.
All right, we'll stop it right there. All right, based on that, I really want some opinions, man, because I hate to seem biased because I'm not. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm a hip-hop fan who loves hip-hop news, rap news, been on it since day one. You know what I mean? Especially this case. I mean, from the second this case kicked off, I've been covering it and talking about it. But I don't know, man. And no, I'm not saying I don't think that Hernandez Govan was involved. I believe that he had some involvement. He was a connect. He was the closest to Juk. They were kind of operating on boss status together, where Juk is a big boss. Hernandez Govan is kind of, you know, the little dog in the situation. But, you know, it seems like him putting himself out there or not, his inability to be on social media and stuff like that might save him in this case because they're having a hard time. We got to go completely off of what Cornelius Smith said. And it's hard to take his word for it because he has so much to gain, seeing that he's the shooter, the admitted killer in this situation, and is facing life in prison. Or it's a tough one right here, man. I don't know, man. Straight Dropp looking like maybe he should have probably snitched or something. You know what I mean? Because, you know, Cornelius Smith was the one with the AK. Now, he did say that Hernandez Govan gave him the gun, all that, but outside of his word, we don't have proof of nothing, man. All right. So just before let's look at a little bit of the defense attorney's closing statement. I just got one minute.
Right after that. Where did the blood go? Cornelius told you point blank, no ifs, ands, or buts, and his girlfriend. I took bleach and I wiped it down. And the lieutenant from CSI with 28 years of experience says that just didn't happen. Where's Angela's car? Remember, she said he was bleeding all over. Where's the evidence of any of that? All right, next. So all I do is cross my hands and beg you guys, he is your peer. There is no evidence here. You would never accept what's happened in this courtroom in your own personal lives to make any decision of any kind. And he deserves that same respect. There is nothing here. They're going to get to come back up again. Remember, we talked about first impressions. You need to use your minds, your eyes, your ears, and your noses and call the Smith test BS on this whole thing that they're about to give you yet again. There's nothing here. There's no solicitation, there's no facilitation, there's no assault, there's no murder, there's not a text message, there's not a phone call worth a damn, and they aren't telling you the story.
Now, he's making some valid points here, man. I hate to say it, man. I know everybody, justice for Dolph, I'm with y'all. Don't get me wrong, man. I ain't tripping, but
make them tell you, why didn't we investigate you? People that helped these folks escape. And if you want to talk about conspiracy, how did he conspire or solicit Justin Johnson? Have you heard anything about that? Who's Jamarcus Johnson? Have you heard a single word out there? They're all together in a conspiracy. All you have is Cornelius' word. He's the linchpin of this whole case, and none of us would trust him. And we sure as hell wouldn't want him much. And then we have phone records that actually exculpate. But if you make it all nefarious and have a sleazy detective get up there and talk about it, sounds pretty good.
He throwing shots. I know the detective was like, man, what I do? Why I gotta be sleazy?
He didn't do it, but you don't have to take my word for it. They didn't prove it. If this case gets a conviction, then I just need to stop being a lawyer because the system is shot to hell. Thank you.
Oh, snap. So we got live news. Stay tuned, man. Hold up. Looks like we got a verdict coming in. So everybody check this out right now. Oh, man. Looks like we got a not guilty verdict, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you reached a verdict?
Yes.
State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 1 of the indictment.
Oh, my bad, y'all.
State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 2 of the indictment.
Saw that coming. Saw that coming.
Court's in session.
Ma'am, Ms. Johnson, is this your verdict? Is this your verdict? Yes, sir. Is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Not guilty. Look at that, y'all.
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you for your service this week. You've done exactly what the court asked you to do, which was to sit, listen to all the proof, and come to a decision. You are excused.
Jury is excused. Thank you.
Not guilty.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, y'all. Court's still in session.
Crazy, man.
You can bring the jury.
Not guilty. Saw that coming. I told y'all, man, I was just rambling about that.
You ready, Your Honor?
Yes.
The jury is now entering into the courtroom.
I was just saying that, bruh. Man, didn't I say? I was just saying that. Everything I said, man, watch. Boom.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you reached a verdict?
Yes.
State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 1 of the indictment. State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 2 of the indictment. Ma'am?
Court's in session.
That's all they had was count 1 and count 2. So, man, Hernandez Govan, not guilty, man.
Bruh.
I don't know how you want to take that, but I seen it coming, man. It was coming.
Ma'am? Ms. Johnson, is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you for your service this week. You've done exactly what the court asked you to do, which was to sit, listen to all the proof, and come to a decision.
Don't worry, I'm going to play it back for y'all, man, as y'all get in here. But, yep, Hernandez Govan found not guilty, man.
You ready, Your Honor?
Yes.
The jury is now entering into the courtroom.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you reached a verdict?
Yes.
State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 1 of the indictment.
Boom.
State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 2 of the indictment.
Yep, so quit.
Ma'am?
Court's in session.
Ma'am? Ms. Johnson?
So
Is this
quit.
your verdict?
Got found not
Is this your
guilty,
verdict?
man. This is crazy.
Is this your
I'm going to
verdict?
keep it
Yes,
real.
ma'am.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you for your service this week. You've done exactly what the court asked you to do, which was to sit, listen to all the proof,
All right,
and come to a
well,
decision.
more to come in a little bit.